Meet Arjun. He's a passionate cyclist. More than that, he's a good riding companion. When I first met Arjun, he used to ride on a rented single-speed bicycle. Now he has upgraded to an alloy hybrid bicycle. So today, Arjun is with us to share his experience on Cardiac Machine Lite. Let's get this started. So before going to the feedback, I just want to know, why did you start cycling?
I was actually kind of bored sitting at home after the lockdown was sort of over. I wanted to get back into some form of physical activity that I was used to.
Okay.
I was based out of Manali for around 2 years and I was into trekking and light mountaineering expeditions. I couldn't recreate that over here as such, but I found something else: long distance endurance cycling. This is one form of cycling that I quite connect with.
Okay.
And what bike would I buy with my particular shoestring budget? That is what led me to Cardiac.
Awesome. So Arjun, you told me about the shoestring budget that you had, right? So there are similar bikes in the market with similar specs. So why did you choose Cardiac Machine Lite?
So basically I couldn't find a cycle that fits my particular height, at least in a very close way, in my particular budget. The other ones were there, but I didn't find them as attractive as I found this particular model. This is very sleek and it's kind of like myself, very thin, slim.
So from when and where did you buy this bicycle, and how is your experience with the Cardiac Machine Lite overall?
Well, I got this from my hometown in Kochi.
Okay.
So there is this particular showroom called Bicycle Cart. I got it from there, from my very good friend who is standing in front of me.
So Cardiac Machine Lite is an alloy cycle. So is there any particular reason that you opted for an alloy frame bicycle?
See, I wanted a lightweight bicycle, but like I said, budget is very low. So carbon and titanium out of the question. What is left? Aluminium. Alloy.
Okay. So are you happy with the alloy frame?
Very happy with the frame and everything except for one thing, which I will probably come to later, the handlebar grips.
Okay. I see that the bike is equipped with Shimano EF500. So how is the shifting on the bicycle?
Well, the rear derailleur is pretty smooth, I have to say. But then again, the front is a bit of a trick for you to learn. But once you're very familiar with it, it's very easy.
Okay.
You'd have to apply a bit of force, especially when you're shifting it up. But then again, it comes with time.
It comes with time.
You're bound to make a few mistakes with the gear shifting.
Okay.
But then again, so does everybody when they start
cycling. Yeah, true.
I didn't know anything about gear cycling before I got this cycle. I learned it on this cycle. So definitely.
So it's basically a mix and match of a trial and error method, right?
Yeah. Anything and everything you learn like that. Right? Yeah.
So Arjun, for the beginner riders out there, they have a common, I call it as a myth. So people tell that, you can shift the gears according to their will, or you must follow a strict gear ratio in order to avoid chain rub. So what do you suggest? What do you think about it?
Basically, the drivetrain and the shifting, the performance of both is correlated, I feel. If you shift into the improper gears, the chain will wear away faster. The crank, jockey wheels, your derailleurs, everything will get damaged if you are riding for a longer period in the bad gear ratio. So in order to avoid that, if you are like a proper maintenance freak, then you will definitely take care of the gear ratio, is what I feel.
So that's what, that's the message that you want to send to the beginners who have a, doubt on the gear ratio.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like even if you have a very expensive cycle or if you have a very beginner entry level cycle, it depends on the way you maintain it. Like if you maintain your bicycle very properly, if you are a maintenance freak at that, then even if it is a very low budget cycle, it will treat you well.
Yeah. So that's a really good, that's an interesting point. Like there are people who treat their bicycle drivetrain like crazy. Like they don't wash it, they don't maintain it properly, they don't degrease it and then just lube it. So there's no point. So I believe that, for the beginners, I tell them, take care of your drivetrain. So if your drivetrain is clean, your bike is clean. That's what I believe. So the bike has a rigid fork option. So for an endurance level rider that you are, you need to cover long distances, right? So would you rather prefer a bicycle with a suspension fork or a rigid fork? It's a very subjective question. So what's your take on that?
See, I chose a rigid fork cycle knowing that it's going to be a bumpy ride ahead. The luxury of a shock absorption comes at a price when you are trying to climb the hills. When you are on an off-road terrain, which most Indian roads are, to be honest, it is definitely of an advantage, but it comes at a price of weight. The weight definitely increases, and the lesser the weight, the more your efficiency is, especially while climbing up. And yeah, a rigid fork cycle, as far as I've seen, endurance cyclists are using this particular model, and as a beginner I used to think that would be for a reason. They are much more experienced than me, so they would have chosen that for a reason. So that is the main thought that I had when I chose a rigid fork cycle in the beginning. And later on I came to know that for my particular riding style it suited me perfectly.
So braking of the bicycle is very important, especially when you're an endurance rider, right? So a safe braking is all that we need. So what do you think about the braking on this bicycle in overall aspect?
It has been very decent, like throughout my riding, only towards the last ride that I had, it had a very steep gradient and I had some issues with the braking, but then again it's not the brake's fault. It was over 3,200 kilometers ridden thus far, so it's natural.
It's natural.
Yeah.
It's bound to happen.
Bound to happen. You have to change the pads at that point.
At that point. Yeah. So that's a common mistakes that beginners make. Like, you know, they don't change the brake pads
after track of that after a certain point of time.
Yeah, true. So being an endurance level rider, so you have to cover, you know, pretty good distances, right? So I'm talking about the bike frame. Is it suitable for a long distance touring? What do you say? What do you have to say about that?
Okay, the frame per se is not exactly supported for the endurance or supposed to be used for endurance rides. But then again, like I said, within my budget, I couldn't find another frame that suits my height. Being that it still is of very great comfort over, let's say, 300 or 400. I haven't touched 400 yet, but for 300 it was pretty
decent.
Yeah.
So
I wouldn't say it's very comfortable.
Okay.
You have to find that sweet spot in your adjusting, like the bike fit has to be proper. If so, then it can be comfortable. I'm not saying it will be. Depending on the person's leg length, the height, it can be comfortable or it cannot be.
So Arjun, you are 5'8".
In that sense, I'm 181 centimeters tall.
181 centimeters.
1 centimeter short of 6 feet.
6 feet.
Yeah, for me, I have a unusually long inseam length of sorts. So that is the reason why this particular frame is suiting.
So talking about the tires, like you've been riding, you know, almost 300-200 kilometers on a weekly basis. So how good is it? The tread pattern on the bicycle, and you know, how does it justify an endurance level of riding?
See, I wouldn't get this particular tire if I was a pro level athlete. I'm a very beginner or let's say intermediate level athlete, and for my particular purpose, a very rugged tire suitable for roads in Kerala, this particular tire satisfies that requirement. This is not an imported tire, it's an Indian made tire. It has its limitations definitely, but then again the price point is such that it justifies the limitations. For me, that is also a very important factor.
Okay. So there's a price benefit, you know,
cost benefit ratio is pretty
decent. So regardless of the cost, you know, regardless of the cost of the tires, like, does it justify?
I find it very durable personally, but I don't know about pro endurance athletes.
Okay.
For my particular level, this is more than enough. Is what I'm saying.
So after riding the bicycle for a while now, right? So what are the preferred updates that you want to make in the future, like a performance-wise boost up, or you know, any other modifications that you want to make in this bicycle?
See, the first thing that I would definitely change first and foremost is the handlebar grips. For my particular riding style, it's not at all feasible because my hands are turning numb after a long ride because it does not absorb any sort of shock as it should. So after that, the second priority would definitely be the drivetrain. I would definitely upgrade the crank, rear derailleur, the chain, all that, and the cassette. Instead of a free wheel, I had installed a free hub and a cassette. That's there in the works, but yeah, first and foremost the handlebar grips.
So are you gonna upgrade the RD to a probably like 8-speed compatible RD?
Definitely, if I upgrade the RD, I'd have to upgrade the entire drivetrain. I'll do that in one go, but yeah, until then, the first possible upgrade would be the handlebar grip.
Okay.
I can't stress this enough.
So getting a new bike is always fun and exciting, right? So every rider that I personally know have a very memorable moment with their bicycle. So what is yours?
Definitely has to be Vagamon. I reached the point I planned for, the meadows. I trekked up the last couple of meters with my cycle, sat on the meadows and enjoyed. That moment was precious.
Okay, that's great, that's great. For a beginner rider, he can maybe be a endurance cyclist or a someone who is crazy for speed. So he can be anyone. So would you suggest this particular model for a beginner rider?
From my personal experience, definitely. I was a beginner rider when I started cycling on this particular model, and I was able to progress to whatever goals I had with this cycle. So definitely I would suggest it to another person, but that all depends on the person's height. This is something that is fit for an averagely tall person.
Okay, that's actually because of the uniquely designed frame size, which is 22 inches.
Yes. So it might not be a comfortable option for everybody, and depending on their particular requirement, they might find it very useful. But definitely, if they ask for my experience, it is worthwhile. It has been worthwhile.
So that's it, guys. If you want to stay updated on bicycle related stuff, follow Bicycle Cart on our YouTube channel. Hit the like button below, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and comment down below if you have any questions or suggestions. Until we meet in the next video, this is me, Arvind from Bicycle Cart, signing off.